SOTC 52, this is chapter 5, Winnowing by the Winnower. So the Bible says in Luke chapter 3, Jesus was talking about separating the wheat from the tares. And he said that God was like a winnower, right? So he's like the winnower, and you and me, we're like the winnowee, right? So like my grandpa used to say when I was little, he said, boy, there's two foundational facts that will take you all the way through life and help you if you keep them in mind. Always keep them in mind. I said, what's that, Grandpa? He said, well, the first foundational fact that you need to know is, son, there is a God. And the second foundational fact you need to know is that he ain't you. So it's like that is the same kind of a deal with the winnower and the winnowee, right? We're the winnowee, he's the winnower. So what's he got to winnow? Well, let's read it. You'll see that what it says is that the tare grows up next to the wheat, and you can't rip out the tares without ripping out the wheat. You can't burn the chaff or the tares without burning up the wheat. So Jesus says, when it's harvest time, that he'll separate the two. So what this chapter is about is the process of being winnowed. And what's that like? Well, in the old days, the way that they separated the wheat from the chaff was they would take a winnowing fork or a shovel, and they would throw it up in the air, and the wind would blow the chaff or the tares away, and the wheat would fall, and they would separate. So why is it that needs to happen? Well, because it's real simple. If you don't have any, if you have wheat to eat that's mixed with chaff, there's no nourishment to it. You spit it out, and if you got no food, you're going to end up dying. Spiritually speaking, man, you have to get away from the tares in your life in order for God to be able to use you, because otherwise you're no different than the world. People look at you and they say, hey, well, what has he got that I ain't got? And people that are going to go to hell are still going to hell. So there's a process that has to take place where God says, I'm going to separate the two, but not from the get-go. I'm going to let you grow, and I'm going to let you be with these influences for a while. But as you grow and get deeper in the Lord, and as you start to rise up and spiritually get closer to Jesus, he's going to start pushing those things away. Now, why does he have to push them away? Well, because, we don't push them away on our own. Now, if you read the story in Luke 3, it says that Jesus is talking about a farmer that planted wheat, and then he got up in the morning and his helpers came in and they said, hey man, somebody's put a bunch of these weeds out there, these tares out there among the wheat. And Jesus says, well, it's been an enemy of mine did that. So what's Jesus talking about? He's talking about people in your life that don't belong there, that are going to drag you down. Listen, you got born again, you got saved, you got snatched out of the fire, and you're on your way with a ticket to heaven. The devil says, man, we can't get that cat because he's gone. But let's make sure that he doesn't go out and get somebody else. Let's limit the damage to just him. So then what happens is he plants those tares out in the field to influence you so that you might be saved, but without any spiritual strength or purity, you won't be able to lead anybody else along the same path that you're on. So that's what his plan is. So you might ask yourself, well, man, how do you get that? Well, you go back to Psalms 1, the very first Psalms in the Old Testament. David says, he clearly says that the righteous, the ones who would have Christ, the ones who are living after God, that they are like trees that are growing next to the river, and they're big. And then he says this. He says the wicked are like chaff or tares that will be blown away. And I think Jesus probably had that Psalms 1 in mind when he was telling that parable about the winnower. So what am I telling you? When you're listening to this today, whether it's in the morning, the afternoon, whatever, these are weekly devotions. What am I telling you? What I'm telling you, man, is if you're feeling flipped and tossed and spun, don't fret. God's an expert winnower. He knows exactly what to weed out of your life in order for you to be able to grow spiritually so that you'll be nourishment for a lost and dying world. He knows how to do that. The other thing is, man, if you've been flipped and tossed and it just goes on and on and on and on, it doesn't seem to end. Listen, I'm telling you today that there's probably things in your life that you're not letting God winnow. He's flipping you up and he's wanting to blow away the chaff, but on the way down, man, you're reaching out and grabbing onto the chaff and bringing it down with you. And God says, oh man, I guess we got to do it again. So he lifts you up and he flips you in the air. And right about the time you start to separate so that you can grow spiritually and be nourishment for a dying world, you reach out and you grab onto it again and down you go. So if your life is a situation where it seems like you're constantly being tossed and turned and tossed and turned and there doesn't seem to be any break, listen, man, you're holding on to some things that you need to let go of. That's all there is to it. If you'll let go of it, all of a sudden you'll find yourself in a peaceful place on the ground, growing closer to Jesus. And then all of a sudden you'll start seeing people coming to you because they want the nourishment that you now have because you've gotten rid of the chaff. And you're a great, great, great good meal of wheat and of spiritual strength. Try it.